Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In the previous video, we have seen the introduction to functions, what a function is, what is its syntax, and we have seen the different types of functions that are available in Python. And now it's time to perform certain hands-on so that we become comfortable with the concept of functions. So let us start with the examples of our functions. So, the first example that we are going to see today is we will be writing a function to find the maximum of three numbers, right? So, let us move to our Python screen in our Visual Studio and find the maximum of three numbers with the help of a function. So, here, now what we are going to do, we will be defining a function to calculate the maximum of three numbers. So, the first thing is to write the def keyword, the name of my function. Here, I cannot use max as the name of my function because max is an already defined function in Python. So if I bring my cursor over it, you can see that max is a function, right? So we have to give a name which is actually not a function name. That is the best practice. So I will be giving the name as maximum, right? And the thing is that we want over here to compare three numbers, right? So let the numbers be A, B, and C, right? So I want to compare these three functions. Here, the colon, and now the definition or the instructions that I want to put in my, function, right? So if A is greater than B and A is greater than C, print number is A, value, the value of A, and you can simply print A over here, right? Now, another thing, elif, another condition over here. If B is greater than A and B is greater than C, then just copy this particular statement. The maximum value is B and print the value of B. Else, no need to define any condition. The same statement and C over here and C. Now, what we need to do is, here the definition of my function has been completed. What we need to do is we need to call maximum over here and we need to give the values, right? So let me give the values as 10, 34 and let's say 26. And if I now run the code, you can see that the maximum number is B, value is 34. Now this has been now printed. So one way of calling this function is passing the parameters like this. What if I do not know what are the values that I want to compare? So for that what we will be doing is we will be asking user to enter three numbers. So let num1 be the first number and we will be asking the user to input it. Enter the value of A. So here the user will be entering the value of A, but we know that input returns strings by default. So I will be just typecasting the value into a string, into int, right? And paste it here and paste it here again. Let the num value be 2 this time and 3 over here because we need 3 number, and in place of A just make it B and C, right? So we will be calling maximum on num1, num2 and num3. Now let us just do this and check if this is working fine or not. So clearing the screen, I will be running the code. And here on your screen, I have asked the value of A, that is 10, value of B, that is 34, and the value of C. Let's say C is the maximum this time. And here on your screen, if I call maximum, it's printing that the maximum number is C with value of 78. So that is how we actually make our functions, right? So let's move toward the second example. So the second example that we are going to do is write a function to sum all the elements of a list. Yes, now is it possible to pass list as the parameter to a function? Yes, it is possible. Now let us see how we are going to program this function. So for our second example, we are going to again define a function with the help of def keyword. The name of the function will be sum of list. Right? Use the names that actually makes you understand about what we are going to do in a function. As a parameter, pass a list, right? Colon, and we are ready to write our block. Do not forget to add a docstring because that makes your code more readable. This function calculates the sum of elements of the list passed as a parameter. So this is actually defining what my function actually does. Now, for sum, I know that 0 is the identity, right? For I in list, because I want to calculate the sum of all the elements in my list, so I need to access each and every element. S is equals to S plus list, or not as list, S plus I, because I will be the first element of my list. And then this particular time, I will be returning the value of S, right? Now, because for this function, we have used the return statement. So what I'm going to do over here, I will be taking sum as a variable name, and in this, I will be calling my function, right? And as a parameter, this time I will be passing a list. 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's say 5. So now this list is consisting of first 5 natural number. So the sum of the first 5 natural number will be printed. So the sum is, just print the value of sum, right? I'm just running this code and let's see what we get as the output. The output is 15. As we know that the sum of first 5 natural number is 15, we got the answer as that 15. So you can see that the functions can be that varied that it can also take lists as a parameter, right? So let us move to our next example. The third example will be write a function to reverse a string. Can we take a string as a parameter? Let's program and find out. So this time I want to reverse a string, right? So what we are going to do, again define a function. The name will be reverse string, right? And here I will be, let us this time do not take any parameter inside the function, right? So let us see the different capabilities of writing diverse functions. Do not forget to add the docstring which says this function will reverse a string. So now you can also have an idea that how, the help function, or, by putting the cursor over here, we get such types of data related to, objects, or the, in Python, right? If I move my cursor to, this keyword, then how we are actually understanding what it is, by putting the data over here, right? So with this, we have a little bit idea that how, the functions, the inbuilt functions, will be written in Python, right? So here, what I will be asking the user to enter a string, right? So I will be asking user to input a string. So the prompt will say, enter the string, and colon, right? So now str will be the string that I want to, reverse, right? Then I will be again adding a print statement and say the string after reversing, right? And colon. And here I will be just making a new string, new str, and I will be passing str with the slicing operator. You know that we use this, the slicing for reversing. You can also make another, you can also take different types of logics to do your work. But this time I have taken the input inside the function. In the first example, we have taken the inputs outside the function and they were working very fine, right? Now let us, you can also return this value. Let also return it. So return new string, right? And outside your function. Now, the next thing that we will be doing is we will be just simply calling our function like this. That's it. And after that, you know that in order to get the returned value, either use the print statement or call the function to a different variable, right? Assign a function to a different variable, basically. So we have seen that also, how to assign a function to a variable, right? So let us do that also. And let's take str1 as a new variable and the name of your function as it is, and coming out of it you can also print the value of str1, right? So let us call this again and again. So first we will be doing with this one, and let us make it more obvious, say print first call. This is the first call using the print statement, and here this will be the second call, right? So it is much more obvious to understand, right? Here, now if I run the code, this is the first call by the print statement, right? So it is asking me to enter a string, and let me just enter it. So Anjali, and you can see that the name is now been reversed, and the second call is of str1, which is assigning a function to the variable. Again I will be giving the same name, and you can see that the function is working very fine, right? So this is via print statement, and this is via assigning function to a variable, which is possible in Python, right? And in many more programming languages. So this time we have asked the input inside the function, right? So let us move to another example. Plenty of example we are going to do. The next example, which is the fourth one, is write a function to calculate factorial of a number and ask the user to input the number. Now, by now we are very much familiar that how we can ask user to input the number and pass them as a parameter to calculate whatever we want to do. So let us again move to the Python screen and calculate the factorial using functions. So here I will be writing a function that will be calculating the factorial. So I will be defining it with the def keyword. Let the name of my function be fact and let n be the number of which I want to calculate the factorial of, right? Colon, and here we will be writing the block of our code. Do not forget to enter the docstring. The docstring says this function calculates, this function calculates factorial of a number. So a short description and now the code. So for that, let me just take a variable which says its value is 1. And now I will be using a while loop that will be actually calculating the multiplication of a number, right? So if n is greater than equal to 1, right? What you're going to do, you are going to do P is equal to P multiply by N, right? And in the next line, what we will be going to do, we will be decrementing N by 1, right? So what we are doing is we are repeatedly multiplying P because P is the value having 1 and 1 is the identity of multiplication. So we are repeatedly multiplying P with N and each time we are decreasing the value of N. So if the value of N is 5 initially, then 5 will be multiplied into 1, then 4 will be multiplied into 5, then 3 will be multiplied into the product of 4 and 5, right? And then so on. So that will be going to return us the factorial, and just use the return statement and return the value that is nothing but P, right? So P is the factorial over here. Now we want the user to enter this number. So we have two things, either do it inside the function or outside the function, no problem. So just take a variable, let's say n or num is equal to int because we have to typecast. By default, the value of input is a string and we will be writing enter a number. Simple as that, right? And then use the print statement, right? Call the function that is fact on num, right? It is that simple. Now enter. The function is working. I have taken the value of number as 5 and we know that the factorial of 5 is 120 and 120 is printed on your screen. So that is how we have actually calculated the factorial of a number using function. One more thing which I will definitely like to tell you, that what if I want to calculate the factorial of numbers inside a range, right? What say if I want to calculate the factorial of first 10 natural number. So what we are going to do over here is I will be just removing these two statements and here I will be using a for loop for I in range, and the range should start from 1 and go till 11 because I want to include 10 over here, right? Colon, and coming to the next line. Here what I will be doing, I will be making a print statement which says factorial of, let's have a placeholder, right? Factorial of a number is another placeholder over here, right? With the dot operator, I will be using format over here, format, and in the brackets of format, I will be writing the value that I want. So, factorial of 1, I want 1 over here, right? Right. So, factorial of 1, I want 1 over here, then I want 2 over here, then 3, then 4, then 5, up till 10. So, the first value in format will be the loop variable I. And the next value that I want is the factorial value over here, that is 1, then 2, then 6, then 24, then 120, right? So here I want to use my function that is nothing but fact, and of what value I want to calculate the factorial of I, right? So let us just clear the screen and call the print function. Right. And now on your screen you can see that the factorial of first 10 natural number is been printed in the sequence. So you can also use functions inside a function. See here format is a function and we are using function as a parameter to a function, right? So that is very much possible in Python, right? So by this I think that how we actually define a function, how we return the values, whether we can use input inside the function, outside the function, with parameter, without parameter, I think with so much examples, now the concept of function will be very much clear to you all. Right? If you like this video, then do not forget to subscribe my channel and share the videos. Thank you.